Quincy Wilson just became the fastest teenager in the history of the 400 meters. But here's the crazy part. He didn't just break the record once, he broke it 3 times in 2 months. And each time, people couldn't believe what they were seeing. Let's go back to where this all started. June 2024, the U.S. Olympic trials. This is where the best runners in America compete for a spot on the Olympic team. These are professionals, adults who have been training for years. And then there's Quincy, a 16-year-old from Maryland. He lines up for his first race. The gun goes off, and when he crosses the finish line, everyone looks at the clock. 44.66 seconds. Wait, that can't be right. The old high school record was 44.69, and that record had stood for 42 years. Quincy just destroyed it in his first race. But he wasn't done. 2 days later, he runs again in the semifinals. This time, 44.59 seconds. He broke his own record, the one he set 2 days earlier. Then came the finals. Quincy finished 6th place overall with 44.94 seconds. 6th place sounds normal, right? Except remember, these are the best runners in America. Professional athletes. And a high school kid just competed with them. Not only that, he earned a spot on the Olympic relay team. At 16 years old, Quincy became the youngest male track athlete ever to make a U.S. Olympic team. But the story gets even crazier. 1 month later, July 19th, 2024, Gainesville, Florida, the Holloway Pro Classic. This is a professional race, not a high school meet. Quincy is racing against Olympic athletes again. The race starts, and Quincy is running side by side with Bryce Deadmon. Deadmon is a professional. He had just made the Olympic team too. These two are flying down the track, neck and neck. Nobody can tell who's winning. They cross the finish line. Everyone looks at the scoreboard. Quincy Wilson, 44.20 seconds. Bryce Deadmon, 44.23 seconds.
Wilson and Deadmon headed to Paris, and they meet the line at the same time. 44.2.
Quincy won by 0.03 of a second, but more importantly, he just broke the world under 18 record. Again, for the 3rd time in 60 days, a high school kid just beat a professional Olympic athlete. The number 44.20 put Quincy at number 6 in the entire world for 2024. Not number 6 for high schoolers, number 6 in the world. He was faster than Michael Norman, one of America's top professional runners. The only American faster than Quincy was Quincy Hall, the world leader. But wait, there's more to this story, because that wasn't even his fastest time. August 2024, Paris, France, the Olympic Games, the biggest stage in all of sports. Quincy is there. At 16 years old, representing the United States. The men's 4x400 meter relay has heats first. 4 runners each run 400 meters and pass a baton. Quincy runs the first leg. He splits 47.27 seconds. Not his best time. Actually, it's much slower than what we know he can do. He hands off the baton in 7th place. But his teammates are incredible. Vernon Norwood runs next, then Bryce Deadmon, then Christopher Bailey. Team USA qualifies for the finals. The next day comes the final race, the race for the gold medal. But here's the thing, Quincy doesn't run in the finals. The coaches chose different runners, Christopher Bailey, Vernon Norwood, Bryce Deadmon, and Rai Benjamin. And they were unstoppable. They won the gold medal. They set a new Olympic record, 2:54.43. Just 0.14 seconds away from the world record that was set back in 1993. Now you might be thinking, Quincy didn't run in the finals. Does he still get a medal? Yes. Because he ran in the heats, he earned a gold medal too. At 16 years old, Quincy Wilson became the youngest track and field athlete ever to win an Olympic gold medal. Most athletes would celebrate and take a break after winning Olympic gold. Not Quincy. He kept training. He kept racing. He kept getting faster. Fast forward to July 2025, Memphis, Tennessee, the Ed Murphey Classic. Quincy is now 17 years old. He just finished his high school season, and he's about to race against professional athletes again, including Gardiner, the Olympic 400-meter champion from the Bahamas. Think about that. A high school kid racing against the Olympic gold medalist in the individual 400 meters. The race begins. Quincy starts in lane 5. He runs the first 200 meters with confidence. Then in the final stretch, he surges forward. He pulls away from everyone, including the Olympic champion. He crosses the finish line. The clock stops. 44.10 seconds. The crowd goes silent, then erupts. Quincy just ran 44.10. He broke his own record again. The record he set in Florida last year. He took off 1/10 of a second. His closest competitor? Bryce Deadmon, the same professional he beat last year. Deadmon finished in 44.39. Quincy beat him by nearly 0.3 of a second. Let's talk about how insane this really is. Quincy's time of 44.10 makes him the second fastest under-20 athlete in history, ever, in the entire world. The only person faster is Steve Lewis. He ran 43.87 at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, and Steve Lewis was 19 years old when he did it. He also won the gold medal that day. Quincy is 17, and he's only 0.77 seconds away from that record, a record that has stood for 37 years. But here's another crazy stat. Quincy's 44.10 made him the fourth fastest person in the entire world in 2025. Not fourth fastest teenager, fourth fastest person. Period. After the race, Quincy talked to reporters. He said, "Staying to my coach's plan and trusting his process. I feel like this season is really starting to come upon what I've been working for right now." Notice what he said. This season is starting to come together. Starting, which means he thinks he can go even faster. Being this good this young comes with attention. Quincy has 393,000 followers on Instagram. People recognize him, some people cheer for him, some people doubt him. He even mentioned that he dealt with hecklers at the Memphis race, but Quincy handles it well. He said, "I feel like when it comes with being who I am, the fame and everything has gone up and escalated. I'm just thankful for it. Every single part of it. You'll have the goods and you'll have the bad. But those are the things that make Quincy Wilson." That's a mature response from a 17-year-old. Most teenagers would struggle with that kind of pressure, but Quincy embraces it, the good and the bad. So how did Quincy get here? He started running when he was 8 years old. His parents, Monique and Roy Wilson, saw his talent early. They made a big decision. They moved their family from Chesapeake, Virginia to Maryland. Why? So Quincy could attend Bully School in Potomac, Maryland, a school known for its track program. It was the right choice. Quincy's cousin, Shania Hall, graduated from Bullis in 2020. She went on to run track at the University of Oregon. So running fast is in the family. When Quincy was just 14 years old, he broke a national record that had stood for 30 years, Obia Moore's under 14 record in the 400 meters. That's when people started paying attention. By the time Quincy was 16, he had won 5 AAU Junior Olympic Games titles. He set high school records in the 400 meters, 500 meters, and 600 meters. He anchored his school's relay team to multiple national records. And in September 2023, Quincy signed a name, image, and likeness deal with New Balance, one of the biggest shoe companies in the world. He was one of the youngest athletes ever to sign a major NIL deal. So what happens next? Quincy hasn't decided if he'll go to college or turn professional. He could compete in college and continue developing, or he could skip college and start racing professionally for money right now. Either way, one thing is clear. Quincy Wilson is chasing Steve Lewis's under-20 world record of 43.87 seconds. And based on how fast he's improving, it's not a matter of if he'll break it, it's when. And if his progression continues the way it has been, that record is going down. At just 16, Uwezo Lubenda is shaking up Australian sprinting. One race, one record-breaking run. That's all it took for him to prove that Gout isn't the only rising star anymore. His blazing 100-meter sprint didn't just break records, it sent a message that a new rivalry has officially begun. In front of a stunned crowd in northern Queensland, Lubenda, who hails from Townsville, clocked an astonishing 10.35 seconds in the 100 meters. That time broke Hugh Donovan's under-16 record of 10.73, set all the way back in 2010. To call it a breakthrough would be an understatement. For context, this time would have been fast enough to move past the preliminary heats at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, a senior-level global event. And it couldn't have come at a more interesting time. Just a year older, Gout, Australia's reigning sprint sensation, had previously dominated the headlines. At only 17, he'd already represented his country at the World Championships, reached the semifinals in the 200 meters, and smashed the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters twice in a single day. His time of 10.17 seconds at the age of 16 remains among the best ever seen at that level. But now, there's a new contender on the track. Uwezo Lubenda's performance doesn't just rival Gout's, it redefines the conversation. This isn't just about being fast. This is about stepping onto a stage that only a select few in the world are invited to. Gout has competition, and Australia has two teenage sprinting juggernauts heading toward the 2032 Brisbane Olympics. What makes Lubenda's emergence even more compelling is the journey that brought him here. Born in January 2009, Lubenda is a Congolese immigrant who moved to Australia with his family in 2013. Since then, he has steadily risen through the ranks, powered by raw talent, discipline, and the unwavering belief that he belongs among the world's best. After receiving his gold medal from former Olympian Paul Di Bella, Lubenda told the Townsville Bulletin, "Man, I feel amazing. I was kind of hoping for a time like that. I wasn't thinking too much about it, but I'm really grateful." That humility, combined with blistering speed, makes him a dangerous prospect. In fact, this isn't just about record times, it's about how he wins. At the Queensland event, Lubenda didn't just edge out the competition, he dominated it. Eyewitness reports and event footage described him finishing with a huge lead ahead of the chasing pack. That kind of race execution speaks to more than speed. It speaks to composure, confidence, and world-class athletic maturity. His coach advised him to stay relaxed, stick to his rhythm, and keep it simple. And Lubenda did exactly that. Everything went smoothly. Everything went according to plan, he said. It was a performance that not only broke a record, but also turned heads internationally. Meanwhile, Gout continues to build on his impressive resume. Born into a Sudanese family that migrated to Australia 2 decades ago, Gout has carved a name for himself through sheer dominance on the track. He has already signed a lucrative endorsement deal with Adidas and has shared that the sponsorship allowed him to focus solely on training. Reflecting on the deal, he told GQ, "It was crazy. The number kept getting higher and I realized how much these companies think I'm worth. But that sponsorship really helps you get to the next level because obviously you need the money to travel and to train. Especially since I'm at school, so I don't need to go and find a job at Macca's or whatever to put fuel in my car. It definitely helps a lot." But endorsements and experience now meet a fresh wave of hunger. Lubenda is just beginning to taste success and has his sights clearly set on the 2032 Olympic Games. "My goal is 2032 Brisbane. I've got my eyes on that," he told the Townsville Bulletin. "I'll be 23 or 24, so I'll be in my prime as a sprinter." This rivalry is a rare gift for Australian athletics. Both sprinters come from immigrant backgrounds. Both are redefining what young athletes can achieve, and both are laser-focused on Olympic glory. Yet they offer contrasting styles and narratives. Gout, a polished professional already familiar with global competition, and Lubenda, the underdog phenom just starting to shake the system. At the 2025 World Championships, Gout clocked 20.22 in the 200-meter heats and 20.36 in the semis. Strong performances, though not enough for a finals berth. It was still an admirable showing for a 17-year-old and a reminder of how far he's come. Yet, that performance now stands in direct comparison to Lubenda's 10.35 in the 100 meters, a time achieved a year earlier in age, with seemingly limitless potential. Lubenda's performance has also sparked comparisons to Usain Bolt, the Jamaican sprint legend known for his electrifying starts, long strides, and showmanship. While it's far too early to draw direct comparisons, the similarities are intriguing. Both Bolt and Lubenda tower over many of their peers. Both burst onto the scene as teenagers, and both showed signs early on that they weren't just athletes, they were forces of nature. Australia now finds itself with two teenage phenoms capable of challenging the best in the world, and that creates not just excitement, but urgency. The Brisbane 2032 Games are no longer a distant dream. They are a real, looming battleground where national pride and personal legacy will collide. What's especially exciting is the narrative tension. Will Gout maintain his dominance as the face of Australian sprinting, or will Lubenda's rapid ascent knock him from that throne? Already, analysts are speculating about potential matchups at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, an early taste of what could be the marquee rivalry in track and field. Lubenda, for his part, seems unfazed by the pressure. "In the past, I wasn't the best," he admitted. "But I'm starting to have more confidence as I'm improving more. Last year, the races were close, but this year, I'm seeing a big difference. I'm waiting to improve more so I can be better next year." That kind of self-awareness and hunger is rare in athletes his age, and it's a sign that Lubenda isn't a one-hit wonder. He's a worker, a student of the sport, and someone who's just beginning to scratch the surface of his capabilities. Meanwhile, Gout is already showing signs of maturity and foresight. Speaking about his future, he said, "Long term, I'd like to set myself up and set my family up. I've saved a lot, and I bought myself a new car when I got my P's provisional license, so that's probably the biggest purchase I've made so far. I haven't gone crazy. That level-headedness will serve him well in the years to come. He's already proven he belongs on the world stage. The question now is whether he can fend off the challenge from Lubenda, who is gaining speed and confidence with every race. For Australian fans, it's a thrilling scenario. Two brilliant young sprinters, each with unique stories, now destined to push each other to the absolute limit. It's a rivalry that promises to elevate the entire sport. And for the sport of track and field, the timing couldn't be better. With growing global interest, especially ahead of back-to-back Olympic Games, the rise of Gout and Lubenda offers a compelling storyline that's about more than medals. It's about identity, perseverance, and the power of believing in something bigger than yourself. Uwezo Lubenda has sent a message, and it wasn't just to Gout. It was to the world. The next generation has arrived, and it's sprinting into history. A 16-year-old just shattered the Australian 100-meter record that stood for 15 years. Uwezo Lubenda blazed through the finish line in 10.35 seconds, fast enough to qualify for the World Championships. This teenager isn't just breaking records, he's rewriting what's possible in Australian sprinting. Here's how it happened. A school athletics meet. Nothing fancy, just kids competing, parents cheering, coaches timing. Typical Saturday morning stuff, right? Wrong, because on this particular day, at this particular meet, something extraordinary was about to happen, something that would make the entire athletics community sit up and take notice. His name? Uwezo Lubenda, and what he did on that track wasn't just impressive, it was historic.
Good stuff from Rufus on the inside. Lubenda in the middle is a wide advance. Moving with his so proudly. Lubenda, the defending champion from this age group, strolls into the final.
At just 16 years old, Lubenda exploded down the 100-meter track in a mind-bending 10.35 seconds. Let that sink in for a moment. 10.35 seconds. To put that in perspective, that's faster than most professional sprinters. That's faster than athletes who've been training for decades. That's world-class speed from someone who probably still has homework to finish tonight. But here's the really incredible part. Lubenda didn't just run a fast time. He obliterated a record that had stood for 15 years. 15 years! That's longer than most high school freshmen have been alive. Records like that don't fall often. When they do, it means something special is happening. And trust me, something very special is happening in Australian athletics right now. Now, you might be thinking, okay, 10.35 seconds sounds fast, but how fast is it really? Let me break it down for you. That time would have qualified Lubenda for the heats at this year's World Championships. Read that again. A 16-year-old running at a school meet just posted a time that would get him onto the world stage, competing against the planet's fastest men. Lubenda is out here running times that professional athletes dream of achieving. He's not just fast for his age, he's fast, period. This isn't some kid who's quick in his school. This isn't someone dominating regional competitions. This is a teenager operating at an elite international level, and he's only just getting started. But wait, there's more to this story, because Lubenda isn't the only teenage sprint sensation tearing up Australian tracks right now. Enter Gout, another 16-year-old phenom who's been making headlines of his own. Gout holds a personal best of 10.17 seconds. Yes, you heard that right? 10.17. That's even faster than Lubenda's record-breaking run. Gout has already been compared to Usain Bolt himself, and he's attracted major attention from sponsors, including landing a significant deal with Adidas. The world is watching Gout, and they're watching him closely. So now we have a situation that's almost too good to be true. Two incredibly talented 16-year-olds, both Australian, both running times that would make seasoned professionals jealous, both dreaming of Olympic glory, both hungry to prove they're the best.